Hello everyone, myself Shruti. My roll number is 2054. Today I am here to represent the ISC activity of cyber security, in which my topic is the session hijacking. So now I explain about what is the session hijacking, what are the techniques which are used to stop the or stop the session hijacking. Now let's we begin with the introduction to the session hijacking. In today's digital world, we rely on the secure for accessing our online accounts, whether it is banking, online social media, and other things. But what if someone hijacking your session and then control that session? That exactly what the session hijacking is. It is session hijacking means it is one of the type of the session hijacking where an attacker take over the user's active session to gain the unauthorized access. It is a serious threat which leads to the data theft. It can lead to the data threat, data identity fraud, and the financial losses. As we know, it happens in the day-to-day life. So now I explain the definition of the session hijacking. So the session hijacking is one of the type of cyber attack where the cyber attacker can take over the control of valid session between the and the user and also the server. Means once the session is established, then the uh, then the law the for example, login is established, which is a session. Then at this time, the session ID is used to maintain that session. Then the attacker is exploit this session ID to impersonate the user. This is meant by the session hijacking, and in this way, the session hijacking is happen in today's day. So, I can give you one example. For example, someone steal your login session ID from the public Wi-Fi and then steal your access, then steal the unauthorized access of your account. It is known as the session hijacking. So, we need to be aware from all these frauds. For that, we need to protect our privacy. In this slide, here is the explanation of session hijacking as a cyber attack. So, in the session hijacking, the malicious actor takes control of an active session between the user and the this can be happen only when the user is the enabling the attacker to impersonate the legitimate user and the login user and gain the unauthorized access to the sensitive data. So, so in this slide, I explain how hackers take over the session. For the session there are multiple techniques are available to take over the session for the session hijacking. In that, a few techniques I can explain. In that, there are I can explain the four techniques: session sniffing, session fixation, man in the middle attack, and the cross site scripting. So in that, first one is the session sniffing. Session sniffing means capturing the session data over the insecure networks, means the session sniffing. So using this technique, the hackers can take over the session. Next one is the cross-site scripting. In that cross-site scripting, the hacker can inject the malicious code in the web application to steal the cookies of the user. Using this technique also, the hacker can take over the sessions. The third technique to take session over used by hackers is the man in the middle attack. It means and last one is the session fixation, which means forcing the known session id on the user. So using all these techniques, the hackers can take over the session for session hijacking. So now in this slide I will explain some of the defensive techniques that are used to prevent from the session hijacking. In that first we need to secure our cookies. For that we need to use only https and only the secure logs. Next one is the https everywhere. Next one is the session expiry and time mode. Next one is the session expiry or the session timeout. Once you use the session, there is need to inactive your session for securing your session id or session token from the hackers. Then next one is the multi-factor authentication, which we also known as the mfa, which means add the extra layer beyond your session to protect it from the hackers. And last technique to prevent your session from the hackers is the regenerate your session IDs. It can be add or regenerate after your login or the privileges tab. So here is the summary of our session hijacking topic. So the session hijacking is the real and a very dangerous theft. So we also understand what are the techniques the hackers used to take control over session. In that we studied cross-site scripting, man in the middle, and then session sniffing and session fixations. And in the last we also understand about what are the techniques we need to use to prevent our session or the session tokens from the hackers. So here is the ending of our topic. Now I explain the conclusion of this topic. To sum up, session hijacking is the very dangerous cyber attack where an attacker exploit the session ID to impersonate the user, and he can access the sensitive data of an user. Also, we have seen how the hackers uses the techniques to steal the login details or any details of the user, such as cross-site scripting,